Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review. Sleigh Bells, Reign of Terror. Sleigh Bells is a New York pop and rock duo, and this is their sophomore LP. The band is pretty much singer Alexis Krauss and guitar player Derek Miller, and I've been getting a lot of requests to talk about this LP. Not only because this band has been getting a lot of buzz this year, but I have kind of a troubled past with Sleigh Bells, I think. I'm going to come out and say their previous material has not exactly received glowing reviews from yours truly, but it's whatever. I wasn't huge on this band's debut LP, Treats, but I will give it to this album for just being extremely, extremely loud. A really brittle, ear-shattering style of loud. It was just a combination of these really tinny, distorted guitar riffs matched up with shouted female vocals and some really, really compressed, heavy drum machine beats. All the melodies, the emotions, the songs just felt really, really simple. And in a way they had to be, because I can't imagine a complicated or detailed song translating all that well through the extremely loud and lo-fi recording that Sleigh Bells subjected its music to on Treats. This LP definitely reached a new threshold of volume for pop music, but I wouldn't really go as far as to call it experimental or trailblazing or anything like that, because a lot of the songs on here were just so shallow that the volume and the recording style just kind of ended up sounding like a gimmick. It was really the only unique thing it had going. Now the sophomore LP, Reign of Terror, is here, and I definitely commend these guys for tweaking their sound up a bit. They have pulled their recording style out of the lo-fi doldrums. They've created a set of tracks that actually tries to stand past the sound that defined the debut album from these guys and really kind of prove their worth. But overall, I think Sleigh Bells pretty much just ended up with a better recorded version of their last album. A lot of the melodies on these songs even resemble melodies from the previous album. And the sounds they're working with are still roughly the same. The distorted, tinny guitars, the really cheap, heavy drum machine beats, the light, breathy, girly vocal delivery. One of the few sounds on here that I caught as being kind of new, kind of fresh were these shouted background vocals, kind of like in a chorus or in unison. They kind of sounded like vocals a group of cheerleaders would scream. There are samples of roaring crowds just screaming as if Sleigh Bells is like indie pop's answer to arena rock, and in a way I could see them being that, because they definitely go for a loud, bombastic, over-the-top sound, a lot like bands such as Kiss did in their heyday. And like Kiss, Sleigh Bells really tries to push an image too. The last thing I was catching on here that felt kind of new was just all these layers of guitars. Because the mix is less lo-fi, less claustrophobic this time around, there's just more space to throw in harmonized guitar solos, a little bit of riff counterpoint, I guess, some whammy bar solos. Though it is clearer, it's still loud. Too loud and abrasive for commercial radio, but still tries to shoot for that same kind of candy-coated accessibility. This album is pretty much abrasive only because of the guitars, and if you replace them with synthesizers or something like that, I don't really see any reason this album couldn't get played on any commercial radio station, even like Radio Disney. Even though I think this LP is just a variation on the previous album, I did end up liking it more, and it let me see Sleigh Bells' music in a slightly different light. It's not exactly winning my heart or anything, but the noise and the beats and the hooks on this album, in a way, actually kind of reminded me of Nine Inch Nails a little bit. You know, except it's going for something that's a lot more gum chewing, hair twirling, and shallow. The whole thing to me just ends up sounding like a beer commercial You know, it just feels as flashy as a beer commercial. When I listen to this, I just see bikini models and hot waitresses and guys shotgunning beers and like a bar band rocking out. The only difference with Sleigh Bells' take on this is that the bikini models may have some skull tattoos, the waitress may be wearing gold spandex American Apparel tights and chain smoking, the beers that are being shotgunned are Pabst Blue Ribbon, and the band that's playing might be wearing some Wayfarers and Ramones t-shirts. Still, the new recording that Sleigh Bells is working with, in my opinion, though it kind of takes the uniqueness away from this duo, it does make their music a lot more listenable. The beginning of this LP to me just kind of felt like usual Sleigh Bells, but the end of this album cooled off a bit, toned things down, and I ended up liking it, which isn't too much of a surprise since from the previous LP, songs like Rill Rill were my favorites. Songs like DOA, which is kind of like Sleigh Bells' attempt at a ballad, and then Road to Hell, which was pretty repetitive but very kind of alluring and sexy. Those tracks to me come off way sweeter than the ones with just the insanely loud guitars. And it's not even that it's loud, it's just that what the guitars are playing on tracks like Born to Lose toward the end of the track or Demons, the riffs just sound so amateur. They sound like riffs that you'd play on your tiny little practice amp with the distortion button turned on and turned all the way up. There are some improvements that I'm noticing with this LP, and that is making me like this album and this band's music a lot more, but not so much that I'm just totally head over heels for it. Sleigh Bells has their own style, and as long as they have that, it's going to attract fans, it's going to catch ears, and it's going to stop people in their tracks. And that's always a good thing. I'm kind of feeling like a strong 5 to a light 6 on this, but what do you guys think about it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? And what should I review next? Anthony Fantano, Sleigh Bells, forever.